Thank you, Councilmember Long. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started and I will call the meeting to order and I'm going to do a quick roll call of the Parks Board members. So Director Babcock.
Here.
Or I'm sorry, Director, sorry. Went back to my old school board days, sorry. Kelly is here. I am here. Ron Valencia is not. Justin is here. Jake is as of yet not, and Jackie is here. So next up on our item is citizen participation. Because we have a lot of people that want to speak, we are going to enforce our 2-minute time limit. The good news is with a really large iPad, I can put a timer up that will not only tell you how much time you have, but will play a lovely little sound when the time comes. Here's what I'm going to ask. Folks will get their 2 minutes. Please do not interrupt them. Let them speak. If you've got questions or comments after we finish citizen participation, they're going to need to wait till after the meeting is over. We need to finish and get through the rest of our agenda. So we will ask that any additional comments and things be held until after the meeting has concluded. All right. So who would like to address the Parks Board?
Any citizen want to start off? Can speak.
Or are you guys just here to listen, or are you just here to speak? You're just here to listen. Listen.
Basically, we're bringing to the park board a situation in the community gardens that has been unaddressed for pretty much since Carl died. I went to gardens, I've been there 16 years now. Carl asked me in the first year if I wanted to take over as chairperson, who he had evidently been searching for a chairperson to take over for quite a while. I said no, because that's how coordinating is working. But he said that they had put in a request for additional funds for the city council, I believe, to expand the gardens for water. I told him, well, if you do that, I'll help you with building the gardens. And when I'm done with the lake. Anyway, he said, okay, that's a good deal. He said, I can't do anything beyond that right now. So basically, at this point, we're almost done developing the gardens. We have 2 half gardens that are behind 2 gardens by me that need to be completed. They were a pile for compost back here and here. If we put that compost back in there and get this garden built up, get back into space, these 2 become functional gardens based on this blue water line that's available. That gives us 32 total gardens available, of which right now 30 are occupied and 24 are paid for. Although 2 are not considered gardens. So, well, 1 is not considered garden. Anyway, we'd like to resolve that. I'd like to complete the garden so I can get out my garden's over. I have actually been doing that for quite a few years now. So we need to get that settled. We need to find out who actually is the manager, because there's been some discrepancies or different ideas of who actually manages the garden and who actually owns the garden. We evidently get the water bill and it says community gardens. So that goes to John Ballister. So they are identifying him as being a tenant or someone who manages tenants.
All right. I'm sorry, but that is the end of those 2 minutes. Anyone else? Okay.
So we have gardened at the Pew Garden for 35 years and we live adjacent to it. Over the past several years, over the past several decades, it has been mismanaged. The plots that he's talking about are now my plots. It was a huge waste pile.
What do you mean by the plots?
Hold on. It's not a conversation. I'm sorry.
So if you see those 2 trash bags, that is about 1% of the garbage that I have cleaned up in the Pew Gardens. I've created a new contract which can be passed out. There you go. And so, which is a more collaborative organization. So I come here representing not just other gardeners, but other homes that live around the community garden that have issues with the community garden over the years, such as the trash that's been there, the smell of the community gardens, these huge weed piles that are not broken down and are not fully composted. It's a big fire hazard. If there's anyone concerned about the fire danger, in the community garden. I hope that we can work with the Parks Department to create a structure where there is respect, there is no harassment. We have been advised to get restraining orders against people that pay rent. It's not already done so this. We want to feel safe and non-threatened as not just gardeners, but people who live adjacent with lots of seasons previous. So we are asking the park board to work with not just the gardeners, but the homeowners around the garden to make sure that this is a safe, healthy place for everybody, including visitors to the garden, that it's easily accessible. And so I have been working to try to clean up a lot of the yard waste and have gotten a lot taken up. We've actually gotten 3 yard waste containers in front of our house that we put our yard waste in instead of putting it out.
Does anyone else wish to address the Parks Board?
I'd like to question about the finance and how that works. So we haven't had the financial report for years. I don't think I've been with the garden for as long as she has, 35 years. I don't remember ever seeing a statement of how much the garden has brought in and how much might be left. Because we'd like to see if there is some left over. We get a big green place to put a lot of the garden waste. So I don't even have any idea how much money is in the account.
Responses?
I don't know, I don't want to necessarily get into a.
I think we're, can we wait till the end, and we're gonna do the community garden item on the agenda up to the front seats. But hopefully we can pass along some information that'll help with that.
Anybody else wish to address the Parks Board? Yes.
So, I mean, I've only been gardening now for maybe my second year. And in comparison to other community gardens around the county, these are one of the nicest ones that have the most availability for people to actually produce food for their families. I produce food for my 2 younger children, for my husband and myself. My mother-in-law, we were together, produce that together. We live in separate households, but we still attempt to work together as much as possible. And I mean, anywhere you have a community garden, you have to smell compost. Some of that compost. If you ever gone to a farm, it smells significantly worse than the community garden. I went to in the last couple of hours, or even just Lowe's and Rapidary. And I have no degrees, but an education in small farm production with an emphasis in gardening and crop management. And as well, I mean, if the rural garden sure that the water is getting paid for and they're respectful to the community, clean up on that. We have a designated section that we're supposed to be putting our compostable material so that they can be removed at certain points, and there's an activity removed. Whether those get utilized properly can be begged to differ, but that's on an individual situation. There is a body.
Right. Anyone?
I just want to apologize for me first now like that. I'm going through physical therapy on that. I have a little bit of a brain injury, so I apologize for that.
Understood, and I appreciate you saying that. All right. Hey. Yeah, go right ahead.
I didn't wish to speak tonight, but it's called on. Seems I have the opportunity. Carmen died in 2012. As treasurer, I asked if anyone wanted to be manager, and no one responded. So no president after 2012. I continued as secretary treasurer and Mark was garden developer. I did not wish to manage because I had managed through 20 years career in the Air Force and managed a recycling center here in Cheney for 13 years. Also, I taught school, math and science, in 8th grade gardens, was tired of managing. So, this Cheney Community Garden Group members work, for the most part, as a cooperative and harmonious group. We didn't have meetings because there's no need for meetings. We talked to each other personally. Found in the military meeting for a pain. Info is dispersed and received on an individual basis. Now it seems wheels have come off and it needs to be fixed. I want Peggy and OSHA to continue working in the garden. I've never asked them to leave. And we don't need any changes to what's been going on. It's worked well. You may shake your head no, but it's worked well for the last dozen years. And I can't see a great deal of change needed out there.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Last call for public comment.
The rule should be simple. We signed a simple contract, we sign it every year, the gardens are assigned to us. And we pay our $50, plus 40, it went up to 50. Price of water goes up, prices go up. So it should be simple that we have our assigned spot, we pay for our commitment, and we garden there. And it would be nice to have less rules. I can see a lot of work went into this, but these are 14 positions. And I don't know how many gardeners we actually have. I don't see filling 14 positions. Don and Mike have done a great job. And overall, I don't see any issues. People just, as long as they pay and are reasonable and are respectful, not undercutting our leaders. I respect them as our leaders. There's years that they've devoted there, developed the gardens. And I'm frustrated that it's come to this, that, why can't we just all get along and just do our thing? Darn it, share the produce. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Okay.
Is Jake meeting? No, still.
No,
Okay.
no. All right. Okay, with that, not seeing anybody else, I'm going to go ahead and close community comments. Thank you all for coming and sharing your voices. I will tell you, as someone who served on public committees for a long time, it's always nice to see the public actually get involved, and it's not just the five of us sitting around staring at each other. So thank you all for being here, for having a passion that drove you to come here on a really nasty night. But you have been heard, and we appreciate that. We're going to move on with the agenda, and I'm looking for an approval of our minutes, but I don't know if we were able to distribute them due to the long-running IT issues that we have. So we're going to have to postpone that until we can get our files back. And then I'm going to move on to information items, and we're going to go ahead and move item E, the community garden, up first.
Yeah, echo John. It's so cool to have the community come here and have dialogue, especially, when things aren't necessarily going perfectly. Let's talk about it. And our goal is a park board and the Parks Department is to try to find ways to make our spaces like great space everyone wants to participate in. So the community gardens, the reason why I wanted to put this on this agenda is because we've had a lot of discussion over the last couple of months about concerns and ideas for improvement. And so I talked today to Bob Hudson. Bob Hudson was the Parks and Rec director for many years here, and he was involved in the development of the Centennial Park and the community gardens. And I wanted to share just a little bit about the conversation we had. So the city purchased the Centennial Park site in 1971 through a grant, which is now called RCO, but it was called different things back then. And in 1984, another grant that the city received, and this is when Bob was here, was to develop the Centennial Park. It's roughly 8 acres, but 6 acres of development. And the intent was to build two major soccer fields, a picnic area, shelter, jogging area course, exercise course, restrooms, passive areas, playgrounds, and a horseshoe course. The area that's now known as the community gardens was what was it? I'll pass this little map out here. You know where it is, but you can see that it was called in 1984 open play area. And the reason why it was called open play area is because the city didn't have more money to develop space. And so because of that, the community garden was the part of the original plan. But the idea was prevented, and the city said that that would be a fine usage of space until, you know, something, some other phase of development came to be. And so there were three basically, according to Bob, three conditions of this. One is that everyone got along, everyone handled their responsibilities, and the city wasn't being burdened with additional tasks. The third expectation was that 10% of crops were going to the food bank. And the reason why that was important is because the community garden, I think it's almost 2 acres, 1.5, so it's fairly decent size, but only a small amount of the public is utilizing that space. And so to not be gifting of public funds, it would be that 10% going back to the food bank would sort of be an equitable swap. And so, you know, I think that maybe that would be something to really maybe, you know, rekindle that, because that was part of the original intent of that. So the Cheney Community Garden would elect a representative. That person would make the rules or work in conjunction with form those rules. And that person would be the designated liaison between the city and the community gardens. And so in some ways, the intent was we talk to that person only, essentially, you know, to create a chain of command and communication. The community garden, according to Bob, does not have a right to exist. It's just something that's there, and it's meant to be utilized in a positive way. In April, if I understand this correctly, the community gardens created a membership agreement and voted on these rules. And anybody can correct me if I'm wrong. This is my understanding, though, and that they also elected like leadership positions. And this, I'll pass these around.
We did.
No, not on rules.
Well, this is my understanding that the membership agreement has these items, this was voted on. And so that's our understanding. So I'm not saying, that's. So
the reason it came in 2 pages was, first page was for you, which signed a signature release of hold harmless clause for you, city.
True.
Second page is for them to keep, which has all the things about herbicides, fungicides, and the overall basic bylaws that were incorporated.
thank you. And so 2 key things there is that paying the water bill, that's obviously very important. And then the other thing is the hold the city harmless. You can understand why that's also something we're but anyway, other than that's all I had to pass along. And so hopefully the community garden, we can get going on the right track again and we just kind of go from there.
We have all but 3 signatures in garden.
So does anybody else have any?
I just have one question. As far as finances go, as I'm understanding it, the only finances that happen is to pay the water bill. And so each gardener pays their $50 and that water bill gets paid. And that's the end of the finances. I mean, it isn't like there's income and then bills to be paid. There's just a bill to be paid.
That's the way it comes, that's the way John presented to me, and that's how the account.
Yeah, take care of.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well, it's not, there's a, I'm like, I'm not opening your mouth. This is being recorded. Okay. Cheney Federal Credit Union.
Who builds the other thing?
All right. So. Yeah, because I mean, there's no way for you to have any other funds
Well,
No,
I mean, it isn't like you're having a farmer's market.
in the past, they have used those funds to do things like, purchase, things to fix sprinkler systems.
Oh.
Purchase handles, to do minor things with, but they never did anything major, because here's what happens. Is if you get a rate increase in the middle of the year, the rate increase comes right now. And if we didn't collect enough money for that rate increase in advance, we are flat, and somebody has to pay that last.
I got you.
End of the year. So we always have to have a certain amount enough in escrow. And it's never been more than $300 that I've seen since I've looked at all the bills.
Makes sense.
2003.
Thank you.
And this goes right into your account?
Pardon me?
This goes into your account as your credit union?
Not mine.
Oh, it's a separate account for this.
Yeah.
Not my public.
It's a garden.
Right, I call it that.
So my understanding that,
It says garden account on
They told me once they looked into it, they could skip, but they said that the name on the account is his, so it's from the federal.
it. I'm sure
Yeah,
so the Cheney Federal Credit Union, my understanding is that if somebody wanted to make a payment, they could go down to Cheney Federal Credit Union and say, I'd like to deposit this in the Cheney Community Garden account.
correct.
Yeah, it's right on there.
but we can't get copies of when I called them and asked them, hey, can you get a copy of how much has been in the account over time? And they said, we can't release any of that information, you can only release it to John because it's his account.
Well, I wonder if,
I think I have 17 packages like this. Every person, I know it's a little rough, every person that pays goes in to credit. And every bill I pay goes into debit. And each year, like we ended last year with $112.38. And I've told Peggy if she wants to look at them, she can.
I've been offered to look at them and I will share with that information in my original sign.
Says right here.
Yeah.
John's name up here, it says regular shoes, Cheney Garden.
and so also like the city, it's done, many departments have been trying to examine this issue and try to figure out how we can help. And at the end of the day, we can only do so much, and we are not gonna force anybody to participate in the community garden. That's totally elective. And so if, that's a choice that people can make or choose not to participate in as well.
And just to be clear, we don't get a copy of the bills every year either at all. I had to do a public records request through the public works department, through the finance department, in order just to get a copy of the bill that has been charged. So none of these are handled during meetings, there's no like sheet for it.
Anytime.
But it's not, it should be a meeting.
In the past, there was a newsletter that Carl wrote himself that gave a history of that month or different aspects of what's going on, little burdens, it was a newsletter. And we will give you a recount of what is in the account. That basically stopped when Carl died. Because in reality, everybody's time is worth something. And not everybody has the same skills or the same thought process. I would doubt very many people would do what I did for Carl and develop those gardens and stay with gardens as long as I have. I've been retired for 20 years now. I don't need this. It was something that I told him I'd do. I'm doing it. And I've thrown thousands of dollars in that garden. And here's the result. And that's what we're there for. Are those pictures? We're there to garden. And my gardens were food bank gardens. 99% went to food bank, 1% went to everybody else. And I did that to supplement everybody who couldn't grow and give to other people who couldn't take it. So I supplemented all of the gardens.
I want to pause for a second and ask our city council members who are here if they would like to make any comments at this point. Commissioners. Go ahead.
Other cities, other Parks and Rec departments, will actually take the payments for garden plots. We actually use a Rec One system. I know it's set up to actually take those payments, so I'm kind of curious from the community's perspective, would it be more useful to submit those payments straight through Rec One, as opposed to just having an individual do it? Would it be?
Then you'd be getting sick the water bill because it goes right for the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get rid of the water bill.
Pardon me, I couldn't hear what he
She's
said.
basically saying get rid of the water to find things to pay now.
Yes.
Do you want to manage the gardens too and run the contracts and everything else?
That's not what you
Let's talk
said.
about the payment right now. I know Rec
Talking
One,
money.
I know that Rec One said can do this. I've seen it in other cities, so I'm just asking.
Yeah, and part of the reason why that Justin brings us up is because we've been trying to research a way to help come up with a positive outcome. And we just saw that as one potential. There are other cities that do it that way. Other cities don't. So I think Justin just.
Have you ever seen the contracts at the other cities?
Yeah.
I mean, some.
Or would that just be the $50 from every
When you
member?
get into a contract like this,
Figure out this from a lot.
you're making the HOA out of the gardens. That's what this is, an HOA. And there's so many rules and regulations that you did. It's a weaponized system. You cannot just go garden. The reason I garden at Cheney Public Garden is not that.
Hold on, here's 1 second. I just say right now, I think we need to get it back to the commissioners and the public comment section is over right now. So we can discuss at the end, but we want to make sure that this stays on track. We got other items too. Does any commissioners have anything they'd like to, or council members have anything they'd like to?
Just wanted to add on to what Justin was saying, like I know the Valley has a community garden and it's run through the recreation system, it's like sign up for whatever. And it includes when you like go and like renew your plot or your garden, you agree to whatever the garden are. So the garden will be present even every year, it's right there, when we pay, it's part of the agreement. When it included. Obviously that doesn't solve what the rules are, who comes up with them, but whatever those end up being, we can put it in the system so that it's present, and very visible. But I think we can also put the map in. So if you have your map, I'm over here, I can't see it. It looks great over here, I'm sure it's
It's
beautiful.
worth money.
Yeah.
You have to buy it.
Like the Valley has their garden map in there too, so then you can see who has what, or like every time they, I don't know how many, who the other how many gardeners have. Like I definitely don't know. And you could see that was us from a liability perspective at the city, so that we could contact all of you if there was an emergency or some sort of problem. Anyway, it'd be all kind of nice.
I think, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, I'm a fan of that.
So I guess my question is this. We've got obviously two different groups here asking for things, but I'm not exactly sure what it is you're asking us to do. I'm going to be honest with you, based on what I'm hearing, you are using parkland to run your program, but the program itself does not belong to the Cheney Parks and Rec Department. It belongs to the co-op that you have put together.
The paid co-op.
Exactly. So I guess my question is, what would you like from us? Because that may determine where we can get involved, because if we go back to the conversation that you had with Bob, where it was done so that the city wasn't overburdened with the administration of it, and that was the understanding. So I guess I'm looking to you guys to say, okay, and I'm going to hold on just for a second, and say, I would love to be able to help, but I don't know what it is. I don't know what help looks like, and I don't know if it's something that we can do. So I will start here and we will go around, and if folks want to chime in on what they think it is they're looking for the Parks Department and the Parks Board to do, I would love to hear it.
First of all, the way the gardens have worked is that we get a call. It could be on either a phone, it could be a referral, could be off the website that I signed for Cheney Community Gardens. If you actually go into Facebook, type in Cheney Community Gardens, that website will come up.
Yeah.
It has a lot of information. I did it in 2024. Last year I didn't update it.
Yeah.
I want to see, I have 40 followers with very little response. But if it goes active, the Cheney Gardens are going to be the best known gardens in the world. Second to that is that we have individuals that are using park water right now that has been paid for by the membership, and they have not paid. So they are not members. They haven't signed the agreement, which means that they haven't signed your waiver for liability for hold harmless clause. And by that token, if you looked at it, it would be a theft situation because we can't recoup what they're using. So if they don't use their own garden hose, how much are they going to use of our water? If they turn the water on and leave and let it run all night, we could have $100 bill.
Sure.
So
you're
there's
asking-
that precedent. Second to that is that once we establish with the client or effective person who wants to garden, we tell them what garden plots are available. And they select one, and we tell them all about what the water is, and when you pay for the water, and you get a 20 by 40 on average plot. We've taken that out. They used to say 20 by 40. There are some are bigger, some are smaller, but we give them the plot, and once you sign the agreement, then you're good to go. You cannot go into a garden area and start claiming spots that are just open and take them and not pay. And yet that's what's been done. So they've taken and frozen, and we have one person waiting on a waiting list now that waiting to be called to get a garden. So that's happening right now, and that has, they gardened there last year in the same 6 plots. They paid $240. They signed a ministry agreement. What's changed with them? Nothing's changed. Bills getting paid. Nobody's stealing anything. It's running the same way. One thing that has changed is the harassment. And the harassment is coming from that side of the table, and it's going in different directions.
So here's what I'm gonna say. I don't hear an ask. I hear what's being told, but I'm also gonna say, if we rise to the level of concerns of harassment, that is a police department issue. And I would encourage you to involve law enforcement, because that's part of their role, is to investigate that. But again, I'm asking because I'm not trying to pick a side, because I really don't have one. I'm trying to understand, what are you asking us to do?
Are you familiar with WAC 352-32?
Not off the top of my head. I know a lot of them, but that one I don't.
It's specifically for parks and recreation. It has to do with issues just like that, where you can incorporate in your community codes, their 352-32, and you can adjust that for that specific reason, which allows the police to come in, give them a warning first time, second time, they have a 48-hour expulsion, third time.
So you're looking at the trespass codes.
Trespass code, exactly.
Thank you,
And I'm not saying I want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to give them 2 gardens each and say, okay, let's get on with the program, pay the bill, so you can use the water.
Okay, Mark, thank you so much. Does anybody else have anything that?
I simply want 2 things, I guess. If you read this last one, I hold the city of Cheney, Cheney Parks Direct, and the Cheney Community Gardens harmless for any personal property damage incurred. You don't want to pay if we get hurt. We've all agreed to that, but they haven't. So if they get hurt, you may be held liable.
So I appreciate that. Is there any differing, outside of the 2 of you, so I'm coming around, any differing perspectives on what the ask is of the Parks and Rec Department and the board before I allow them to speak? Yes, ma'am.
I would like to have you acknowledge the leadership. Mark is the developer, John is the treasurer, Vanessa was voted in as chairman, in the beginning of April of this year, when we had our community garden meetings. She was voted in. And I would like to see that this is acknowledged. Well, acknowledge that these are the leaders.
Okay.
So, and then also acknowledge that every gardener be held to that $50 per space, because that's what's fair. If people don't pay and they're gardening in spaces and using our water that our community has paid for, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay funding somebody else's water when I can barely afford it myself. And I'm paying for 2 gardens. I'm paying $100 because I have 2 gardens.
And I paid for my spot, and they took about 4 feet from my spot. Yes, they did.
You were gonna say something?
Yes, so if it's possible for you guys to, without causing too much work on you guys, because that's the whole point of us managing it ourselves, is that it's not putting more work onto you guys. Which personally I enjoy, because I like to go and garden, and I don't want to deal with the bureaucracy, and I don't want it's not, I go there, it's my therapy, I go there, I pray, I garden, take my kids. But But if we could have some help, with making sure that people are following the rules. That we're not, you know, when we're in our own spaces and we're in our own gardens, that we're not, having to worry about other people, being a nuisance. And that anything when it comes to, because we're paying a city bill, and that bill is properly paid. And if it's not properly paid, if we could have some sort of resolution to maybe figure out how to just make sure that if you're not gonna pay, you're not gonna follow the clip, are not there.
All right. Now I'm gonna ask all of you, that we're gonna let them speak in the same way. So please.
All right, thank you. So, we have called the police and have been screamed at for calling, the police, which is anybody's right to call cops. They were the ones who told us not to sign any contract and we didn't have to pay any money for it. They said, you don't have to pay for it, you know, give something to John or whatever. And so I have no problem paying for it, as we have for decades now. What I have a problem with is paying a private citizen for public property. And so I don't care if I have to go down to the parks and, to the water department and say, here's the account number. I want this money applied to that. So I just want to say that. The other thing is with harassment. So we have had to call the police several times for harassment for people in the garden. We have had our cat threatened before, and our cat is now missing an eye. He had to go through surgery, and that's about $2,500. And so, yeah, that's pretty sad. I don't know if that happens from anyone here or if it happened from a cat fight or what.
So OSHA, what do you want?
So what I would like to do is, for one, to work with the park board on establishing rules that are clear, coherent, with regular meetings. I think the garden should meet at least monthly. To have ADA accessible paths, which is already part of the non-discrimination policy through the City of Cheney. And so I just want to try to work with the Parks Department and with the Parks Board and any other applicable departments to make sure this is a health and safe area, not just for the gardeners, but for the homes that live around it, for the visitors who come to the park. It's a community space, it's public land, it's not private land. And so I think it should be managed in a way that makes it safe, happy, healthy for everybody.
So I have just a concern about the word compost. There's a pile, we measured it, it's over 6 feet high and
37 feet long.
And that's called the compost pile. It's just a bunch of branches and weeds. It's a fire
Are
danger.
you saying it's a nuisance essentially?
Well,
Yeah,
it can be,
it's
yeah.
a safety hazard.
It's a safety hazard. You have weather like this and it all takes some lightning and some wind and the houses around would be affected too. And I know some of the neighbors don't like having that there, and that would be a plot. It's big enough for a plot. So I was hoping maybe I even offered to pay for a green bin so we could get rid of the darn stuff. But I don't even know how much money is in the account. But anyway, so that is something the city could help. And we did have the fire person. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, we had the Zach, the fire marshal come out.
So here's what I would like to say. Again, I really appreciate, and I can see the passion that burns in this group. And as the grandson of large farmers, I do not have a green thumb. My dad's won the awards for the flowers, but I don't. But I appreciate the power of a community garden. What I would like to say to you is, we're not going to answer this tonight. We appreciate the feedback, but this is one of those really unique situations where we have no oversight really of the garden other than to say, you're on our land. And so we need to talk as a parks department, and we need to talk with the city council about what avenues that we have. And I'm going to ask two things of all of you. I'm going to ask your patience while we work through this. And I'm going to ask you guys to really spend some time trying to figure out if you guys can work together. I understand there are hurt feelings, there are conflicts, there are all kinds of things that exist here. And I get it. And I completely understand. And as someone who's served in civic life for a long time, it always happens. So what I'm going to ask is that you guys continue to try to work, but I want you to do one thing when you do it, and that's assume positive intent. Because it's very easy when conflict arises for us to say it's us versus them. And it may be, and I respect that. But I also want you to realize that this has been there for a long time. And I don't want to see us lose this because there is conflict. So while we try to figure out what we can do, I'm going to ask you guys to talk to each other, assume positive intent, and see if you can find a way to work together. And then we'll come back and let you know kind of where we're at. But I really, 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 from the bottom of my heart, appreciate you guys being here and sharing your perspectives, all of you, because it's good for us to hear, because it does fall into our land and that land that we as the Parks Board have to oversee. So we have a vested interest. I just don't know how to fix it right now.
As a request, I would like to ask them, if they use their own personal water till such time that they put money in the Cheney account. They'll have to use their own house water.
I'm going to tell you, because you are an organization that functions separately from the city, that's a conversation that you guys need to have. Because I can't do that, because I don't have any oversight, and nor does Dan, to the community gardens. So that needs to be worked out between you guys. And we might be able to help. I don't even want to volunteer Dan for this because it feels I was going to say he could mediate, but realistically, and I'm sorry, I'm just being very blunt.
It's going to come down to the police department.
It will come, or it's going to come down to the city council saying, no, we're going to absorb this and it's going to become part. But that is where we kind of have to step back, because as a board, we can make some things and direct the Parks Department. But it's really up to our city council people who are here and the rest of the city council to say, yes, we're going to absorb it and it's going to become part of the city. We as the Parks Board don't have the power to do that, but we will discuss it. And again, I'm going to ask for your patience, but I want you to know you've been heard. And as somebody who moved to this community 5 years ago and have been in places where there are community gardens, I will tell you from both sides, I have never seen a more passionate group of community gardeners. So thank you. Thank you for the produce you put together. Thank you for the way you give back to your community. And thanks for coming to talk to us about what's bothering you.
John, if I may ask, just for our own benefit as a park board, 2 questions. First question, I've been to the community garden, but I don't know how obviously there are plots. Mark, how does one know the boundaries of their plot?
The boundaries are written up in the agreement, and that is the service road that surrounds the gardens on the north, south, and east or west side, and on the entry road available from 2nd Street North that comes facing closest or west side of lane that's closest to the gardens. Anything within that boundary is the community gardens. That's the area.
So if I got garden number 12, how do I know? Because as you and I both know, we grow squash and pumpkins and they just go wherever the heck they want to go. And so how would I know that I can keep my stuff inside of plot number 12?
When you are shown your garden, you are basically, we show you the boundaries of that garden.
Okay.
And when we don't show a garden or somebody claims it, you can go anywhere.
Okay, and so then it would be up to me as the gardener to make some kind of marking around my space so that I know.
A lot of
that.
places that just, a lot.
Because I've seen there like fences or if raspberries are staked, and that would probably be a guide. My second question is, since I looked at the credit union statement, is there any reason that they couldn't go down to the credit union and ask to pay their water bill for the Cheney Community Gardens?
They would have.
They can go.
Yeah, that's.
Anybody needs to put money in that account.
That's not public record, though. It's only John gets to see a copy of that. What we want is for the bill and the account information to be public record, just like how.
But here's.
Just put it down and share it.
Here's the.
I mean, I guess what I'm wondering is if your concern is that you don't want to pay an individual, you just want to pay the community garden.
Pay the city.
But it's not ours.
Oh,
It's not ours to do.
No.
That's where the disconnect is, because
Yeah.
this is a private organization who is using public land but it is the Cheney Community Garden is a private organization. They do not have to provide public record. It is a private organization,
Should change that to have it be absorbed by the Parks Department.
but that's, but that's what I'm saying is what you're asking for. If it was a public organization, if it was part of the Parks Department, 100%. But this is a private organization that utilizes public land, but they are not part of the city government. So what you're asking for or expecting doesn't exist because they are not a city organization. They are a private organization.
And that's why it's like,
The use of public areas.
that's the arrangement, and it is also, that's why it's elective too, so like if the terms of the agreement don't seem fair, or you know, then that's why someone could elect to not be a part of that, or choose to opt in too. We're totally out of that decision-making process.
I don't like the city not being involved in how city property is used.
Well, but I'm going to say to you, we either figure that out or it becomes that nobody gets to garden. Because if that, there is this dichotomy. But I think what I want to say to you is I understand what you're saying, but there is that disconnect that this is a private organization. And quite frankly, the private organization can run how they want to run. And if you have a problem with it, it needs to be changed within the organization. It's not the city's job or the Parks and Rec Department's job to do it. Our ultimate authority is we've given you the right to use the land. But if the agreement that was made when the garden was formed cannot be met, then the garden goes away and the city will reclaim it and put that land to use for something else. And I don't want to go there, but I'm saying that's where it's at. Yes.
So I've been in multiple organizations, and whenever it came to any type of payment situation, the money always went to the treasurer who dealt with the bills of the organization. So my personal opinion, I don't understand why giving the money to the treasurer, the one who pays the bills, is an issue. And I just wanted on record that compost is any decaying material that sits over time and goes decay. So that would be leaves, that would be leftover plant material, tree branches to decay. And without having a mix of those information or a mix of those things, you're not going to have the proper nutrients in that compost for it to be worth anything.
Okay. Go ahead.
For water bill, so obviously we're in the city, but the water bill is under John's name. Right? So even though we're using.
But it's listed under John's name as a separate account. It says community gardens.
I understand that, but, okay. Okay.
And
I
if
just- I
you
wanted
stop
to
being the treasurer,
Because
that account would be put in
So-
someone else's.
I am not a lawyer and I slept down the street from the Holiday Inn Express, but that's where my house is. But what I will say to you is part of it may be you guys form articles of incorporation, you have a set of bylaws, and you open a business account for the community garden and you take it out of John's name. But
I'm not against all of that at all. That's just my understanding is,
Yeah.
is even though we're using your land, it's for privatized, like you said, the water bill is under John's name, which I'm totally okay with.
Yeah.
But to me, that there, because we are community gardens privatized under John's name, that's our authority right there, and we should be taking care of those. But so how you guys would solve, like that's coming up, thinking about maybe bringing it out later, and how to solve this. That's the authority out there. It's.
And the only authority that we have right now as Parks Department is to say you can either continue to use property or not.
But our authority right now is because it's under him and it's been that for years.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. This is obviously a very lively issue.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you all being here. We will continue to discuss. And if there are things that we find that we're able to do to assist, we will let you know. Dan will let you know. But again, I'll repeat, I would love it to see if you guys could figure this out as the organization that you are. It may or may not be possible, but I think part of that is just coming here and listening to both sides. And so thank you all for being here. I'm also going to tell you, because we're going to move on to the parts of the agenda, if you would like to leave, you are more than welcome to. It is a public meeting. You're more than, well, some people come to public meetings and think, I gotta stay there for the whole thing. You're welcome to, it's your parks board, but if you have things you want to go do, kids to take care of, meals to eat, I don't want you to feel obligated to have to stay.
We have to go gardening.
In the rain.
Enjoy the
One
rain.
more thing.
Yeah.
Park restroom.
Yeah.
When's the men's bathroom gonna all about?
Centennial. So I'll tell you guys a little story. This summer, or this winter, we've identified Centennial Park restroom as one of the biggest, disappointing structures we have in our park system. And so we really wanna do whatever we can to improve it. So we spent a couple $1,000s on putting new partitions in there, painting the floors. We're trying to put lipstick on a pig.
Right.
The very first,
I think the water's running constantly in the women's bathroom.
You're paying them pink, it'll work.
the very first day, the very first weekend that we opened it, somebody went in there and vandalized it, broke a toilet. So we spent several $1,000s on new locks. But one of the doors is so beat up, we can't even put it on there. So we had to go pay $2,000 for a new door, and we're waiting for that to get installed. So that's why it's not like a
Makes sense.
elective thing.
I was actually curious.
Yeah, $500 and mount up here. Getting people coming in and out.
It's always a weird thing about cameras bathroom.
Not
No, it's not.
Not innocent, okay?
So thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. All right, I would like to move on and pick up with the introduction of our new recreation supervisor.
I'll say something real quick. So we received 55 applications for this position. And we interviewed, it was hard to narrow it down to 4 people. But at the end of the day, Kelly was on the interview panel. We were just so excited about Kyler's enthusiasm, and some of the key focuses are youth sports, recreational programming, and childcare, and then also looking in the future about Kyler's unique skill sets that'll help us really move the department in a really positive direction. So.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I'm Kyler Hunt, originally from Columbus, Ohio. That's where I grew up. I did my undergrad degree at Butler University, that's where I started working in recreation. Started out as a intramural sports official, worked my way up, and figured out I'm like, oh, I can do this as a career. So I moved out to Pullman, did my grad school there.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
I think you're outnumbered, John.
While I was there, I got my master's in sport management, and I also worked for the intramural sports and club sports department there. And then, yeah, between that and now, I work for City of Cheney. There, I mainly focus on our adult and youth sports programs. And then me and my wife moved up to Spokane in May. She is doing her psychiatry residency at Sacred Heart, and we're going to be Spokane area lifers from now on. And so my first job was at City of Spokane Valley, where I worked at Center Place doing more on the events side, which I enjoyed that, but I definitely missed the action and the day-to-day grind of the recreation and the sports. And so that definitely is my main focus is sports and youth sports. But I do also have a background working in kids camps. When I was at WCU, we ran a summer kids camp for 7 weeks during summer, where I was the coordinator of that for 2.5 summers. But yeah, no, I'm excited for this opportunity. I appreciate Dan and everyone else bringing me on. And Cheney, I love this area so far, and we've been here for a week, but I really like working with Dan and Leslie so far, and everyone I've met. It's been great. And I think I like about Cheney is that it's small enough that I get to know people. I'm a really relationship-based person. I think that's one of the things that I talk about most in my interview is I like to get to know people, but it's also big enough that there's opportunity for new programs and growth. And so I'm just excited to see what we can do in the years to come. So thank you.
Welcome.
Skate park.
Skate park? All right. Put out 50 acres with everything else, right?
It's becoming the dumping ground for every plant. All right. Thanks, Skylar. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let's move on to pickleball tennis project.
Okay, so we received 6 bids to build the 4 new pickleball courts. And the winning bidder was based out of Moses Lake. It's Northwest Turf Solutions. And so we're hoping to get them their notice to proceed here soon. We also awarded a lighting contract to McKinstry to upgrade all the tennis court lights to new efficient LED lights and add pickleball lighting. The nice thing is we've received what we think will be about a $10,000 energy efficiency rebate for going from old clunky bulbs to big LED bulbs. And we also got a grant from Spokane Park Foundation. And so we're excited to hopefully get that going here soon. And if somebody has any questions about that, that's.
Is the pickleball or those sports over by, where location?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. So it's right next to the tennis courts, right by Hagelin Park, the new aquatic center.
Oh, by the elementary school over there, by.
Yes,
Oh,
yep, on that, just north of there,
Okay.
just right next to the tennis courts.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, question as a pickleball fan. What kind of surface do we finalize on?
Okay, so we had two bid alternate items. One of them was a multi-surface sports surfacing that would be like an upgrade on the, but we couldn't afford it. So it was like a $55,000 upgrade. And so we just have a concrete surface that'll be painted, but not the fancy sports surfacing on there. It'll still be cool.
Right, quite excited.
Okay, so the city has been experiencing this ridiculous IT. I probably can't access our files. And so look at this is, I think, going on week 3 or 4. I can't even remember. Anyway, the reason why I bring that up is because we're trying to hire 57 people for the pool. And it's very hard when you can't access all your files, but we're making progress. We've interviewed with all of our summer positions. I think we're at around 140 interviews. And so we think we'll be able to hire all of our lifeguards and the cashiers. It's just a little bit slower process because it's not very efficient without our IT being up to speed. But so we're making progress there. The pool company that installed the pool, they're coming this weekend, allegedly, to fix the tear in the liner and then start de-winterizing it. And so that we'll start getting water in the pools hopefully as soon as next week. And it's supposed to be fully operational. Now, this will be impressive. The 22nd of May should be fully operational. That's very ambitious. So
when are you gonna start training the lifeguards?
So the lifeguards, so we have another meeting with Matthew on Friday, but it's basically going to be really early in June, like late May, early June. It really depends on this efficiency of this pool startup too. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Is it gonna be similar to the training that you all did last year? For the lifeguards?
I think so. So I don't get into, I couldn't train lifeguards.
Matthew is Top Gun lifeguard. He knows what he's doing. Those lifeguards over Eastern are Top Gun lifeguards. So.
Was it entertaining? Is that why you asked?
They practice the drowning. I never read it, so I
Oh.
yeah, there's someone like flashed around trying to pretend they were drowning. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, they also test the music very well.
Yeah.
If they want a real life drowning picture, I could probably go. with that.
Well, I'd be a liability.
So as far as like the programming goes, swim lessons are a little slower than we'd like right now. Private lessons we have actually surprisingly large amount of private swim lessons. They're quite a bit more expensive, but those are doing pretty well. Our first annual swim team in the new pool, we're trying to get that up and going, and the first junior lifeguard at the new pool. Those aren't being registered for as quite as aggressively as we'd like to, but hopefully that'll pick up. And we have 71 family passes currently, which is awesome. Concessions update, Rosa's Pizza is on the docket. We did go out to all of the 3 major pizza places in town, and they're the only ones that expressed an interest, and it's like a really strong interest. So we're excited to be able to wholesale those, and then like hot dogs, nachos, and then packaged items. So hopefully we have a good concessions this year. And then one thing is that we were trying to do a grand opening on Saturday, June 20th. And so we reached out to this big company to do like this massive thing, and they ended up apparently not selecting us. So if anybody wants to talk about how to help us make a grand opening on Saturday, June 20th, we'd love to, hear your ideas. The pool actually opens on Wednesday, June 17th. And so one of the cool things is that I'm gonna pass this along. So we have the naming rights sponsorship and all those like the water slide sponsors, and we ended up, the biggest one we had is someone to sponsor the whole facility, and somebody ended up doing that. This is pretty cool. They wanted to do it like but they don't want their name to be. So this is what they want to do instead. So it's a $300,000 pledge over 10 years, and it'll be very helpful for us to try to offset our operational gap, which is pretty massive to operate the pool. So it'll put a pretty good dent in there, and we're just, the whole gesture is just so touching though. It's like really cool. So
Must be one of the NFL players.
well, no comment. So then the last thing on the aquatics update is on, we're doing a first annual fundraiser called First Sip of Summer. It's on Thursday, June 4th, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. We hope to make it, just a fun community event too. I mean, in addition to raising money for the pool and the Parks and Rec department, we just hope this will be a great way to bring the community together. We have a live band and hors d'oeuvres and beverages for those like that. Yeah, so it should be a lot of fun.
And for guests to jump in.
Not jumping in. It'll be just donating money and not jumping in. But that's, and so, yeah, we're getting a good turnout. We're getting some good sponsors for that. And so, again, the amount of money we're trying to raise to offset the operations of the pool is pretty intense. So that's my aquatics update. Does anybody have any questions?
Do we want to tell them about the schools?
Oh, yeah, very cool. Yeah, so, we talked about the reading challenges. So during the month of March, Betts and Salnave, we had 210 kids read a pretty massive amount of books and reading in general to earn pool passes. And so we'll do a pool party on Sunday, June 14th. And then Jackie's been working with Windsor and Snowden and Sunset and got a great participation from Sunset. And we have a sponsor that's wants to pay for a night just for the schools over in the City of Cheney area. West Plains. West Plains, yeah.
Thank you for all your work.
Yeah,
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
That was very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions about aquatics? Park rules? Okay, real quickly, I know everyone, sorry on this paper, guys, this is black. But so on one side, we have the 10 proposed rules. And then on Justin did a little experiment, see like what rules you may be missing on there. And so on the backside is one like that, we maybe want to try to incorporate. But on one of those, I wrote some hand notes on there, and it talks about how some of the ones that say that we're missing, like don't feed wildlife, are kind of already in there on the or then it also says like, omitted that don't drink alcohol at the parks, but that also could be incorporated potentially into like safe parks.
An exception for like the beer event that they do.
Right.
For the One Plains Chamber.
Yeah, so then it could be the permitting part too. So there, I guess the point is that those potential, the ones that we may have omitted, we may be able to incorporate into the kind of condensed top 10. But anyway, that was just a thought. Does anybody have any?
Question, what about environmental safety hazards as far as like chemicals or especially from a garden components, pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, because that can have really dangerous effects on animals, especially dogs.
See, and that could be clean and healthy parks potentially, or it could potentially be in protect park property, but those are just ideas. But does anybody have any thoughts on the?
Well, it says camping only in designated areas. Are there any designated areas?
That's the one that it says we may have missed. Well, that one, if
Says
that's
not mentioned.
if that's not mentioned, that was probably ChatGPT. I'm not sure. Yeah, so we could just totally forget about that. So
No camping. Yeah, no camping, period. Just never mind.
I think ideally we would like to come up with an updated bark rules that were, last one I think was 1999. And if we could get a new one, we would take it to city council for these guys to try to adopt it to our city code.
So at the back of Centennial Park, where the older apartments are, kind of towards that way, I think that somebody might be living or inhabiting that, and so I just don't know about like maybe no building of structures or something. I don't know if that would be, he's created like a little shelter for himself, and so I don't know if that would have, I don't know how that would fit into there. Maybe camping, I don't know.
No, they can't be there. Are you saying that they built a house?
So built like a little shelter, with, like a roof on it.
So, yeah, I'm sure the Cheney Police Department.
Yeah,
Oh,
that could, that,
and there's firewood back in there and stuff, like chopped firewood.
Then you should have the.
Oh, yeah. No camp.
Oh, actually, if you probably do wanna add the no camping, because from a perspective of that, like, well, it doesn't say no camping, so I can't do it tonight.
Okay, so under respect others, you could just put in there no camping.
Somewhere. Or protect our property would be the.
So would these apply to the community garden, no smoking or vaping? Or is it just?
That's part of the park.
part of the park.
So it is part of the park.
I would also put just no tobacco period, because with chewing tobacco, especially the dogs, there was a dog, I don't know if you guys saw him, the chewing where he got a hold of a cigarette butt and had to be rushed to pet emergency. And so I just wanted to be a safe place for pets as well. And so chewing tobacco would be.
I think we have to be careful with over legislating.
It also says no litter, or littering is also prohibited, so you shouldn't be leaving cigarette butts or usual bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be littering. That'd be a smoking and littering.
So we can get this for the houses.
Hey, Chris, Tree City.
Oh, I have a meeting next week.
Okay.
So I'll report next time of what I learned in my meeting to be Tree City. What is it?
Hey, John, one thing too, going back on the park rules, do you have any recommendations on how to put a bow on that?
So I think what I'd like to do, or what I'd like to suggest, is that the Parks Board members get some time to provide you with any feedback. And then we should take an action item for next month to review the final proposal with the intent of then, with upon its approval, forwarding it to the city council for adoption.
The goal would be the last council meeting in June, that's the one after the next.
Yeah. I think that would be, I think that will be helpful. All right, Chris, thanks for being our representative for Tree City. I'm going to call out really quick for the Parks Board members. I did have Dan remove the vision and goals statement because we have a topic, because we haven't really had a lot of time to do it with some other things. But I do want to just add it back and let Jackie share this really wonderful work that she did on the survey results. So if you will allow me a chair's privilege to create some time for you to share what you did.
Thank you. This is just extremely general. I went through the gigantic compiled list that Kelly did from the survey, and I just went through and highlighted things. And then I went back and looked at all the things that were highlighted and then chose what was highlighted the most often. And it is editorialized by myself.
We would expect not.
And so I just came up with my own categories, sort of. So the biggest concerns, as you can read, are number one, restrooms. Either needing repair or they're locked and you can't use them. The second one is dog poop. I bet I highlighted dog poop, I don't even know how many times. Dogs off the leash in the parks, not including the dog park. And then the tennis courts, that's a moot point now. Brown dry soccer fields in the fall from water restriction. And the Betts Park is a disgrace to the community. Was mentioned very often.
This way?
The Betts Park over across from the middle school,
Okay.
because it needs to be developed. So, questions or surprises on any of those?
This was kind of surprising to me because her dad lives in older apartments. And if you have a dog, they take the dog's DNA. And if they find dog poop,
It's called poop prints.
Right.
So you bring in your dog and you get its DNA swiped, and then if they find the dog's DNA in poop, they'll fine you $400.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm out.
So you want to know the business? Try that out.
Okay, then in the survey, one of the categories was most frequently used park facilities, and that's in order of usage with the aquatic center at the tippy top. So that's pretty cool. Centennial Park, I would kind of guess is due to soccer. Oh, I guess my computer put Ren Pearson under, besides Salnave, Ren Pearson should be under Salnave. And then the next one about to be added or improved. That was just pages and pages in this packet. And so I had to just pick out those that, as I said, were the highlighted the most frequently. And the pickleball courts were once again number one.
Pump track.
A pump track, as I understand it, is for bicycles to go kind of like a skateboard park. Yeah. Is that correct?
Yeah, City of Kennewick just built one last year, and I know it gets a lot of use, and I've never done it, but it looks cool. So,
And so would that be used also as a skateboard park, or is it specifically for
it's
bicycles?
specifically for bicycles.
Okay. Oh, it's a dirt track. Oh, okay. I did look it up, but I guess I forgot that. Let's see. Splash pad was mentioned often. I think part of the reason that's mentioned often, even though we have that portion of the aquatic center, is because the splash pad would be free to use. And it could be put, in different parts of the city, where they, don't have means to get to the aquatic center.
Having a child or my 10-year-old is autistic, we can take them to the city to splash pads there and then Johnson. It's free, it's a park, so.
Yeah. Oh, they're fun.
They're taking my kid. Not a bicycle one from Spokane, but she doesn't know that.
Is there an outdoor splash pad in your way?
Yes.
Oh, I did not know that.
It's right by the softball fields, which is nice. Parents can play softball, kids can splat, you can keep an eye on them.
All right. Paved walking and or bicycle trails, that came up often. And I see that as something that's fairly simple to put at the 50-acre park.
My concern is always cost.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's a trail. But even if it's a walking trail, although there were a lot of responses for someone pushing a stroller. And I was going to say you could just make it gravel, but then that becomes an issue if you're pushing a stroller.
Or if you're in a wheelchair.
Yes. So it probably would need to be paved. More swing sets in parks. I don't know if is that a city ordinance about swings and danger?
Sure, that it is. I don't think so. I mean, I don't think there's anything that prohibits us from adding more.
Okay. I think it's prohibited in Spokane.
Is it?
Spokane Public Schools, it's prohibited. I guess that, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can use the school playground when school's not in session.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Okay, any questions on those or surprises?
A big thank you for putting this together.
The other ones, the general ideas and concerns. At the top of that list was a longer season for the aquatic center. Both a longer season plus a longer day for people who are working until 5 o'clock And then, they'd like to go maybe after dinner and go swim, and it's not available.
We used to have team night when I was a kid,
Yeah,
and they'd have it open until like 9 or 9:30 or 10 or something.
it went from 9 to 11 back in the really long time.
Way back in the day.
Let's see. Oh, this one was mentioned very often. For volunteer coaches for activities that you're going to come up with. To encourage coaches to not have to pay the fee for their child on that team. Because I'm assuming most coaches do have a child on the team, that's why they're volunteering. And so the suggestion was to not charge the coach the fee for their child, which. Yeah, that came up very often. Also came up often is more activities for teens, both after school and in the summer. For those kids who aren't out for sports or drama or music or something that's offered at school. I don't know, that's your job, I guess.
It's always the hardest demographic to hit.
Yeah, I think you're right. Let's see. Oh, and more play areas for toddlers, preschoolers, and disabled children. I don't know that those should be all lumped together, but I did. And did you have a comment?
It just, for have you guys, I don't know, I'm just brand new, so have you guys considered doing a, park for disabled, like, have you seen the ability park where they have like the large ones, swings with the wheelchairs and all of that? I don't know, that's something that's been talked about, having one of those parks here and for the community.
Part of what we're doing is putting together kind of our mission and vision for the next 10 years. So that's good input for us to at least consider. Part of what we're doing is we submit a plan to the state that can then be used to help us qualify for grants to pay for some of these things. So that's definitely something we can take under consideration.
Being part of that community, and like my wife is a paraeducator and working in FAC and that and seeing that, I know that's something that she's talked with teachers and hearing parents background of having something like that brought to the community.
Right.
That'd be good. Cool.
Great.
Just on top of that, I was in the city of Bellevue, and they have the Kiwanis donated the funds to create a sensory garden for adults with disabilities. Because a lot of times when we think of people with disabilities, we mostly think of playgrounds for children versus adults as well, to have accessible programs and services. And they also donated the equipment for accessible playgrounds. And then the city's responsibility was just the upkeep and maintenance, but all the other stuff was donated through the Kiwanis.
Nice. I also, my editorializing came into play here when it came up for more plays areas for toddlers. Because of my age and my experience of raising my own children, it dawned on me, we've always lived in a house with a yard. And now with the number of apartments in the city, I'm sure there are a lot of families with little bitty ones who they don't have the space to play. And so that I'm sure played into, no pun intended, that concern that they need some place for those little people to go out and play because they don't have their own yard. So I just was guessing that. And this one was interesting. Lack of communication to the community to know when events are happening. I was kind of surprised with all of the social media there is and the internet and the flyer that goes out with the electricity bill and because it was asked, how do you hear about events in the survey? And that was brought up a lot, that they get that flyer in the electricity bill and, plus the publication that comes from the Parks Department. So I don't know how else we do that.
Only part of this is for those of us that pay online, we don't get the electricity bill, so we receive flyer.
I would think
But I'm saying, we can't just assume that everybody that's getting power from the city of Cheney is seeing it, because I get my power, but I don't see it.
We'll just.
And you don't look online.
With social media, a lot of people are using now TikTok and Snapchat to find out about events versus Facebook or Instagram.
Okay.
Also, the library has a big bulletin board. We put up things there too, as the Van Pearson show.
That's the thing.
Okay, let's see. Oh, and then some people brought up, they must have been around for a while, a fun run in conjunction with either Mayfest or the rodeo.
They just did that. We had the first annual Mayfest.
Okay, well, there you go.
I think they had 30 runners.
Okay, well, hopefully that was some of those people.
Runners.
Shout out
softball.
to the Cheney Lions Club. Shout out to the Cheney Lions Club for that.
Yeah, nice job, Lions Club.
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
Yeah, nobody ever run.
And then there used to be a Happy Hoofers run during the rodeo days. So maybe somebody could
Revitalize it.
read.
Get Flightless Birds on that.
Yeah.
Flightless Birds Running Club is our local running club.
Okay, the next one's for you, Chris. More trees and natural areas. Adult dance classes, that was brought up multiple times. Oh, and then move the farmer's market to a more ADA friendly location. Because when you think about it, it is just kind of grass out there, and it would be difficult to maneuver a wheelchair around.
What do we do with that? Veterans patterns.
And then the final one is, I just made this up. Some ideas that I thought perhaps were outside of our control as a parks department. Enforce the leash law in the parks.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you do confront someone, it could not turn out really well sometimes. Other than doing DNA testing, get dog poop in the parks. And just a thought to prohibit dogs in the parks other than the dog park, like they've done with the school district.
Like me that pick up my dog poop.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, it is.
Makes me mad, because I used to go in Crocs Field in the mornings, I'd run my dog, but I can't do that, but I pick up after my dog, and because those other people that cause it, that they put up, that I can't run in there.
I know.
So it makes me sad.
Okay, and then
Second, Jake, Rebecca.
Said I wanted to comment on the dog thing. I got a comment recently asking why the city hates dogs. And I think it's because the Crumbs put up the no dog sign, which I explained. I know that's true, but I don't know if we want that as overall city.
I also think it's important for us to call out that Bronx is a school district property.
Right,
It is not a city park. So there are differences between the two.
Took away my snow sledding hill.
it's across from the middle school, across from the middle school track. That's one of the complaints was about that. And then more bike lanes around town and connecting to the Fish Lake Trail. That's city road issue. That's not our deal, in my opinion. And speed bumps near the parks.
On the bike thing, there's active conversations on trying to get bikeable and walkable lanes between like the city and Columbia, the trail.
Columbia Plateau.
Yeah, and then also around town and potentially between Cheney and Medical Lake for really ambitious. But yeah, it would be, we look for, and then it would probably fall under.
Well, like Washington State.
On the review other day.
Yeah, Washington State Parks and Recreation is going to RCO to ask for grant money to do what Rebecca just said, to extend the Columbia Plateau Trail. And also the idea of, right now, the Columbia Plateau is the bike lane on the going east, but then on the left side of the trail of if you're heading out to Columbia Plateau, but they're also trying to potentially have one on the other side coming into Cheney, so that there would be two bike lanes on both sides of that.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Plus, it would be good if they'd sweep it after winter.
Yeah.
So it's not covered in sand.
All right, thank you, Jackie. So I'm gonna ask the Parks Board members to kind of take these back and we'll pick back up the visioning conversation at our next meeting. I've been doing some work on it as well. I just wasn't ready to share anything at the front, so. All right, getting back to our agenda, that we have no action items, any board member reports. I just want to say, I actually decided to step up and volunteer to be a youth soccer coach this year, and I appreciate the experience. The park at Salnave has been a great place for those kids to play. Dan, I appreciate your extra help. I got massive t-shirts for my little boys. And then we had some young men that were marching in the Lilac Festival parade. So I appreciate, Dan, that you worked to help me get that game rescheduled so the boys could not only play their game, but then march in the parade. They won the large band division. So that was cool for them. I get to see that. So we only found out they didn't win the whole thing because they weren't entered to win the whole thing.
Oh, is that what happened? I saw that. I was like.
Yep. So anyway, just it's been a very pleasant experience being a volunteer coach, and I appreciate the support from the department. Thanks, as we get that. Thanks for coaching. Never coached boys for girls for 7 years, but not boys. It's been a learning experience. All right. Any of the board members like to make any reports? Anything to call out? Okay, staff reports. Anybody? Hey, seeing nobody running to garner any more, without objection, I will call this meeting adjourned. Thanks, everyone. Once a month.
Second Wednesday. Second Wednesday.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Yeah.
Thanks, Jake. All right.